You are the person who carries all the heavy grocery bags in one trip just to avoid asking for a hand. You are the one who is drowning in work but smiles and says, "I got this," when someone offers to assist. To you, the words "I need help" feel like broken glass in your throat, painful and impossible to swallow. You probably view yourself as self-sufficient, strong, and reliable. People look at you and see someone who has everything together, a pillar of strength. But deep down, you know that this independence doesn't always feel like strength. Sometimes it feels like a heavy fortress that you have built around yourself. You feel exhausted, not just physically, but in your soul. If this resonates with you, psychology has a specific term for it. In psychology, this is called hyper-independence. And contrary to what society tells you, this is not just a personality quirk or a sign of being an introvert. It is often the trauma response developed from a very young age. Today, we are going to explore why you hate asking for help and how to finally let someone in. Let's start by looking at where this behavior actually begins. For most hyper-independent people, the root cause lies in childhood. You likely grew up in an environment where your caregivers were emotionally unavailable or inconsistent. Perhaps you had parents who were busy, stressed, or dealing with their own issues. As a child, you learned a very painful lesson. You learned that expressing a need resulted in rejection, anger, or simply being ignored. You learned that your needs were a burden to the people who were supposed to take care of you. So, you made a decision to survive. You decided, if I don't ask for anything, I can't be rejected. You might have thought, if I do everything myself, I will never be disappointed. This is a survival mechanism known as parentification. You became your own parent, soothing your own fears and solving your own problems. While other children were learning to trust, you were learning to cope alone. Now, as an adult, that survival mechanism has become your default operating system. When someone offers you help today, your brain doesn't see it as a kindness. Your brain sees it as a threat. You immediately think, what do they want in return? You view relationships as transactional ledgers. If you accept help, you feel like you are accumulating debt that you will have to pay back later. This creates a constant state of anxiety in relationships. You prefer to be the one giving help, never the one receiving it, because being the helper puts you in a position of control and safety. Being the one who needs help makes you feel vulnerable and exposed. To a hyper-independent person, vulnerability feels like danger. Another psychological driver behind this behavior is a profound lack of trust. You operate under the belief that, if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. This isn't necessarily because you think you are better than everyone else. It is because you have been let down so many times in the past. You learn that relying on others leads to chaos or disappointment. So you micromanage your life to ensure that variables remain in your control. Unfortunately, there is a heavy cost to living this way. The price of hyper-independence is extreme loneliness. You might have friends, family, and colleagues around you, but you often feel completely alone in a crowded room. This happens because intimacy requires vulnerability. You cannot deeply connect with someone if you never show them your cracks. By refusing help, you are inadvertently pushing people away. You are sending a signal that says, "I don't need you," or "I can handle my own business." Over time, people stop offering help because they assume you are fine. They assume you are strong enough to carry the weight of the world. They don't hear the silent scream for support behind your "I'm fine." This leads to a cycle of resentment. You start to resent others for not stepping up, even though you never asked them to. You might think, why doesn't anyone see that I am struggling? But you have become an expert at hiding the struggle. This path eventually leads to emotional burnout. You are human, and humans are biologically wired for connection and interdependence. We are a social species meant to rely on the tribe for survival. Denying this biological need is like trying to hold your breath underwater forever. Eventually, you will have to come up for air. So, how do we begin to heal from the effects of hyper-independence? The first step is to recognize that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is actually a sign of trust. When you ask someone for help, you are giving them a gift. You are giving them the opportunity to feel useful and valued. Think about how good you feel when you help someone else. Why do you deny that feeling to the people who love you? You need to reframe your definition of strength. True strength is not about being an island. True strength is knowing your limits and having the courage to voice them. Start small, with low-stakes requests. For example, ask someone to pass you the salt. Ask a colleague for a small opinion on a project. Ask a friend to just sit with you when you are having a bad day. Observe what happens when you do this. Most of the time, the world will not fall apart. People will not reject you. On the contrary, they will likely step closer. You will realize that you are lovable not for what you do, but for who you are. You don't have to earn your place in the world by being useful. Healing is a slow process, and it will feel uncomfortable at first. Your brain will scream at you to take back control. But sit with that discomfort. Let someone else carry your bag. Let someone else decide on dinner. How slowly you will dismantle the fortress you built. You will replace the walls with bridges. And on the other side of those bridges, you will find the connection you have been craving. If you see yourself in this video, know that you have carried enough. It is okay to put the heavy load down for a while. If you want to understand more about your personality, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We are here to explore the patterns of the mind together. See you in the next video, and remember, you don't have to carry it all alone.